Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of the Rouge Rugby podcast where we talk about real Canadian rugby. I'm Hugh Hardy, joined by Jeff Robinson and Ed Pye. Fellas, Happy New Year. Hope your 2026 is going pleasantly so far and that you had a good holiday season. And I guess the one downside is there's no Canadian rugby to talk about over the Christmas and New Year period, but we have something to talk about now because the Sevens Division 3 took place in Dubai this weekend, and we're going to get straight into that. Now, we know that Canada's Sevens ambitions last year were cut short by the change of structure in the Sevens series announced very last minute. But, you know, you make do with what you got. You got to play what's in front of you. They finished as champions of the RAN Sevens, which I think everyone knew going into it. And so in their pool for Sevens Division 3, they started off with Italy, and then they would face Belgium before finally facing Madagascar. And, you know, having not really paid attention to any of the European Sevens, or those that weren't in the Challenger Series last year, it was very difficult to make heads or tails of how Italy were going to do. Fortunately for Canada, Italy are stronger in their 15s game rather than the Sevens game. The score from that opening match, 33-7 to Canada. Next up was Belgium. Belgium and Germany have been pretty much bogey teams for Canada in 2025. During the Challenger Series, it would either be Canada would make it to either the semi-finals or the finals of one of the legs of the Challenger Series, and then be up against Belgium or Germany, and it would be a toss-up of where it would go from there. And indeed, it seemed to be the case here as well, because Belgium were able to get the win over Canada, a 15-19 loss to the Belgians, which meant that they need to win their final pool game against Madagascar. This, again, very close effort, with the Canadians coming out on top. Final score 24-17 to the Canadians. That put them top 2 of their pool and into the semi-finals. That would be again the next day against Hong Kong, China. And despite it only being the semi-finals, this was the game that mattered the most, because the winner of this match would qualify for Sevens Division 2, and then you just get bragging rights for the championship game, really. This was possibly the most intense game of the entire tournament. Very strongly contested against Hong Kong, China. And then a yellow card against Canada, which obviously put them on the back foot. And just when it looked like Hong Kong, China were going to go over to get the score to put the game away, Isherwood was able to make an all-important tackle, dragging the foot of the Hong Kong player into touch. The line judge was able to see it and determined that it was out of play. We go into extra time, and then Isherwood is the one who spots the penalty advantage, grabs the ball, gets it over. Another bit of a rough and tumble with the Hong Kong China players before it's determined that Canada have scored the golden point try, and they are through to not only the championship game, but HSBC Sevens 2. And then we get into the final. It's up against Belgium. They've also qualified for Sevens Division 2. And this was a far more one-sided affair. Like I said, Belgium has been the bogey team. Sometimes you're up against them and you lose, and sometimes you're up against them and they win. And Canada were able to avenge their pool loss with a 28-10 win over Belgium, and they were crowned Sevens 3 champions. What a great way to start the year. Ed, I'll go to you first. obviously great to see that Canada coming out as champions. What did you make of their overall performance over the weekend?
Yeah, I would have expected them to play better. I think the team is significantly stronger. There's a quite a few players in there that have come from Major League Rugby. You've got Shaw, you've got Krantz, you've got a number of experienced players that weren't in the squad last year that have come in, and I think their experience has made a bit of a difference there. So hopefully this is a year on the up for Rugby Canada. I mean. Canada's performance kind of shows you what a game of fine margins rugby is. The Hong Kong game, Isherwood's tackle, if the ball is passed into the arms of the Hong Kong winger in a better pass there, he doesn't bobble it as much. That doesn't give Isherwood as much time to come over and make that tackle. As it happened, he was able to get under his body and kind of spin him round so his foot hit the touch. Very, very close call. And then his try to win the game, probably the ugliest try I've ever seen. For a start, it didn't look like he was a mile off the mark when he tapped it. Tapped it to nobody, just it just went up in the air and then hit the ground. He regathers it, and then while he's got two players on him, he's motioning to the ref to say these guys are offside. So he's yelling at the ref. He's got two tacklers on him. He's missing the ball for half of the play, and then manages to get it over the line. So another play that was really fine margin. So you can see, like, that game. I think gave them some belief, gave them some confidence, and little moments like that can make or break your season. So maybe 2026 is the year of Rugby Canada.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we want to hear. That's exactly what we want to see. We want to see both Canadian Sevens teams back in Division 1 of Sevens, and therefore both of them in the World Championship round, which will be towards the end of the season when they go to Hong Kong, when they go to Spain, and when they go to France to determine who will continue on in Division 1. Interesting thing that came about, and Jeff, I want your insight into this, is that it was touted that Josiah Mora was in the squad to go to Dubai with these guys. He didn't get any game time at all. You can actually see in the championship trophy, he's the only one not in a Canada kit. He's in the Canada vest, which still repping the team, always good to see. But yeah, interesting choice. I don't know if Moore was injured in any of the warm ups or anything like that. But obviously,
Can I just add one more point in here,
absolutely, Ed.
Stu? I think one player that looked really good was Hancock. He adds an element of offloading and sort of vision of space that I don't know that we've seen with the team before. If you go back and watch the highlights, he's involved in several of the try scoring plays, being able to get the ball into space. And he has those offloading skills, those little micro skills, the basketball skills that they talk about as being important in sevens, the ability just to get it over the top of someone's head or around the back. He looked very good. I think he's going to be one of the players that can actually elevate their game.
So yeah, going back to the point of Mora not being picked, obviously we don't know what the circumstances around that is, but we knew that when Canada got relegated from sevens a couple of seasons ago, a number of their star players made the decision to go into MLR. We saw like Mora and Brock Webster making their way to New England, and in return, that meant that a lot of new guys got the opportunity to step up in the Challenger Series and represent Canada. Do you think this is a decision that head coach Christian Esterhuizen has made to reward the players that have been sticking out through sevens for the past season?
Well, that's very possible. It also could be a case of the head coach going with the players he knows. Yeah, the players he's more familiar with too. So and maybe Mora had a knock too. I know he's been active on social media about doing like coaching sessions, like info
Mm,
sessions, stuff like that around. So maybe he just wasn't as much in training for this tournament as he was, or as he will be in the future for other tournaments as well. So yeah, it's definitely just a bit of it is a curious thing that he has experience and he wasn't playing, but there could be valid reasons as to why he wasn't there. And just my other overall thoughts, you kind of touched on this too, Sevens. I mean, their first day, I would not have expected that score line against Italy going into it, or same with the Belgium one too, but it's good that they did manage to overcome that one Belgium loss and definitely got to the semifinals, got to the finals, and managed to win the tournament. And hopefully that gives them confidence and belief because they had a rough 2025 as well.
mm.
And sevens is going to be a very mental game as well. You have to believe in yourself and believe in the players next to you that they can have a good season and hopefully they have a good, was it Challenger Cup series? And because they're going to face a lot more tougher teams like Germany,
Mm.
uh, Uruguay, Kenya, USA. And I'm not sure right now where they have to finish in that tournament. Is it top two or do they have to win it? But
So
I mean, a hill
from
to climb.
yeah,
I mean,
it's the top four teams. So
okay.
so mathematically, and it's a better shakedown in the tournament for Canada. They have basically 2/3 chance of making it through. There are three tournaments. The first of which will be held in Nairobi in Kenya in February. Before we have back-to-back tournaments in South America in March. And again, because it's a six-team structure, it's a different structure than even the 7-3 division. It's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. My guess is going to be two pools of three, and then you just have playoffs of for fifth place, third place, and first place, and work out on points that way. Or it could be something completely different. See, this is why I didn't get the job as a sevens coordinator. But yeah, we have, again, one of the other bogey teams from last year, Germany, are in. Uruguay, who've definitely made strong gains over the past few years in their sevens team. Kenya, a sevens favorite amongst a lot of the sevens fans, and of course the old enemy themselves, the United States, including Belgium. I think that it's a very likely possibility that Canada does make it to the World Series, the World Championships, I should say, of sevens, which would definitely be, what Canada should be aiming for. And again, because we don't know the structure of the Sevens Division 2, I'm just hoping that Canada can beat the USA at every opportunity that's given to them, at least. As long as we finish above the Yanks, that's the most important thing, I think. Oh, and qualifying for World Championships. But if it had to be one thing, it would be that. So yeah, speaking of sevens, we have a little bit of a break, but we will be returning to Sevens Division 1 with Canada's women, as we have a doubleheader in Singapore at the end of January, followed by the Perth Sevens the following weekend. And there have been a number of big name returns to the Sevens Division. We have the senior women. We have Olivia Apps returning, and we also have Fancy Bermudez. We have Gabrielle Senft joining in the mix as well. And I believe Taylor Perry is lacing up the boots to join the women's sevens as well. It's not been the ideal start for the women's sevens. I think they've been finishing sixth in the two tournaments that they've been in so far. Obviously, there's less jeopardy this time around because they don't need to, basically finish in the top four to secure championship playoff. But at the same time, it's been interesting to see because we've obviously had cases of, the because of the one squad mentality, we've had this transition from 15s to 7s for a lot of players that then played in the 15s World Cup and have now been signed on contracts to PWR teams in England. Some of these cases seem to be like short term, so just for the remainder of 2025. Others have been more substantial and that have removed them from Sevens contention. So seeing those names come back here obviously can give a lot of courage and encouragement to the team. So yeah, Jeff and Ed, what are your hopes for Sevens for Canada in 2026? Jeff, Ed pretty much gave his answer with 2026 being the year for Canada, so I'm gonna go over to you first. What are your expectations for Canadian Sevens, both men's and women's, this year?
Well, I'll start with the woman. Expectations or hope? I hope they finish first. Expectations, I would say a top four finish. I mean, this is where having Bermudez and Apps coming back as a leadership role too will really help because I think the team was very young in those first tournaments and it kind of showed uh, in their play like that. So hopefully that they can give some veteran leadership and veteran experience and help them move up that rankings. So them top four finish. I guess for the men's too, I think we discussed this. Hopefully, also a top four finish, so they qualify and they make it through that second stage. They move up that ladder. So for men's, for sevens, I guess for both of them, top four.
And Ed, one thing to consider is that when Sevens returns to Vancouver, is that regardless of whether the Canadian men had qualified for the Division 2 for Sevens, they would be playing in an exhibition-style tournament at BC Place alongside the Seven Series proper. It was a pretty small, like, four-team tournament last time around with facing teams like Japan and Trinidad and Tobago. Would you be keen to see a few of the Division 2 teams come and play in Vancouver and, a bit of an exhibition match against like some of the Americas teams? So I think the USA, you got to beat them on home ground. I think that's always good to see. Maybe Uruguay as well. But are there any other teams that you'd like the men to compete against that can help build them towards reaching the World Championship?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Anytime we beat the US is going to be that's going to be a good game, and that's a good one to get Canadians up for. I mean, yeah, anybody that they play in the series too, Kenya. We mentioned Kenya there, obviously a strong team. Uruguay, I think, have some of the best attacking players across the board around the world. So. I think anybody that we play through that series two is going to be a good match, and yeah, I'm hoping that Canada does well there and can pick up, if we get more than 50% wins there, that I think is going to be well done. I think the the time like last year they seemed to experiment quite a lot. I think they had a lot of players that were sort of throwing their names in for the 15s and capitalizing on their opportunities in the 15s game there and trying to help Rugby Canada there. But now that we see some of those players coming back to sevens, hopefully they can transfer the experience that's coming back and the momentum there into, having a really good shot at sevens too, and then, doing well in Vancouver. That's always a great way to get fans on your side. For the women's team, I think those names coming back, that's four World Cup winners right there coming back into the team. It'd be interesting to see players like Perry. I think that'll be good for her because sevens gives you that ability to see space, develop your skills, become more of a playmaker as well. And for her within the 15s team, having that sevens experience, I think will help a lot. Sev is an absolute beast, so I think she will add a lot to the women's team as well. So yeah, like Jeff, I agree there. We should be aiming for first, but at least a top three or four finish there as well.
Yeah, I think those are good goals for Canada to be aiming for, both the men's and women's team, and we wish them all the best. As I mentioned, Sevens Division 1 will return at the end of the month in Singapore, followed up by the first weekend of February being in Perth. And Division 2, the opening round of the Division 2/Challenger Series will be on the 14th and 15th of February. And all those games will be available in Canada on TSN, most likely TSN Plus, but we will confirm on our social media channels nearer the time. But if you're looking for any rugby to watch this weekend, the Prem has returned, and that will be available on Sportsnet. The URC will be back on urc.tv. And if you want to watch any of the Premiership Women's Rugby, you can watch full game highlights on YouTube. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to check out more, as well as our written pieces on our website, therougerugby.ca. We're also available on Spotify and YouTube at The Rouge Rugby. We're also available across social media, including Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and Blue Sky, all at The Rouge Rugby. Jeff, where can people find you on social media?
You can find me on X at WPRugbyJeff.
And Ed, where can people find you?
Facebook and YouTube, rugby101_25.
And you can find me across social media at Hardman, spelled H4RDMAN. And that's where we're going to end this episode. But don't worry, we have a lot to go over in 2026, and we hope you can sit around and join us. Jeff, Ed, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you all for joining us for another episode of the Rouge Rugby podcast, where we talk about real Canadian rugby. We hope you can join us again next time.